we also have, as I mentioned earlier, a work integrated learning component that happens in third semester where students really get to go and practice those skills that they've learned in the first 2 semesters in the actual field of mental health and addictions. A final note that I would say that is actually something that I think is very unique to Humber is that for folks who might not know, Humber is actually, the Lakeshore campus is actually situated on what used to be a mental asylum, as they were called several decades ago. And so one of the cool things that we get to do actually is to take the history of the very campus that we're located on and look at how mental health services and concepts and conceptualizations and supports for folks with mental illness have actually changed and shifted over time. So we actually go into the archives of the Humber campus as it used to be an asylum, and we actually go through some of the old documentation and some of the old clinical records, and we compare that to the way that we're working now in the field, and that's, I think, something that's very unique that folks get to experience here at Humber. I don't think so much about the program. I think sometimes there are a lot of misconceptions about what mental health and addiction work looks like. I think a lot of times people imagine, perhaps as Debbie mentioned, like what they've seen on TV, or but you know, it's not sitting on a couch and having someone come to your office and they sit on a couch and you sit together and you speak together for an hour and then they leave your office and they come back again next week. Most often what's happening with our graduates and our alumni is they're going into community-based settings, and this is also the work that I've done in my own career, where you're really doing very hands-on work, but it means that you're going to, for example, homeless shelters, and you're meeting with folks there who are trying to, you know, find housing and also navigate severe substance use concerns. Sometimes you might be working with someone, I'm just going to pull some examples, who perhaps has a diagnosis of obsessive compulsive disorder, and they really struggle to do day-to-day tasks like laundry. And you know, you're actually doing the on-the-ground, you're walking it through with them how to actually get them from point A where their laundry is not done through to point B where their laundry is done. And it's the counseling that happens through that process, and you're really supporting them with those sort of day-to-day tasks sometimes. So there is definitely some counseling that happens where you're sitting down and discussing, and you're talking about, you know, what does it mean to develop coping skills? What does it mean to address and bring in harm reduction approaches to substance use or addiction? But you know, it's not only sort of a more structured and perhaps what we would think about as being a more classical presentation of therapy. It really is more sort of looking at how we integrate counseling and counseling techniques into supporting people in a really wide variety of different settings.